Oh, what do you need? Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Good. That's what I like to hear. All right. So tonight we'll just kind of chat for a few minutes, see if anybody else is getting on. Tonight is just kind of a catch up. I don't have anything specifically planned, so we can either go over things that you guys have questions on, or really whatever. Or we can go over some more math stuff, go over whatever you guys are interested in.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything super specific, so I'm down for any and all question answer type things or math problems too. I like all of it.
Sounds good. I'm gonna put a sweater on because I'm cold. Okay, cool. Monique, did you have anything?
I don't. Sorry if it's a little loud in my background. I have students that are home making smoothies and doggies, and it's a little bit busy behind me. So I am just here to listen in. Abby, how far are you with everything as far as where you're at with your, what stage are you at?
I just took the course 1 test today. So I just finished that, and then I'm going to start course 2 tomorrow.
Oh, it's competition. Competition.
Very good. So where are you going through?
So I work in the Red Wing Homes for Sale office, just like an hour from the KWPR office. But we're associated with that brokerage.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sweet.
This one.
Awesome. Well,
That's probably why it has.
let's just run through some questions then.
Perfect.
Awesome. Do you guys have a preference between state or national? We'll just start there then.
What do you think is harder, personally? It seemed like the state was a lot of like review of the national when I was learning it.
Okay. I was gonna say I typically think state is a little bit harder because it's more specific.
Okay.
But that was my opinion. I've heard it both ways, that some think that national is harder, some think state. So
okay. Monique, you pick.
Well, so since I haven't taken the test yet, I am like 10 hours away. I'd be happy to do the national because that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Perfect. And let's do some national. Okay. So is there something is stumping people on national that we can focus on, or should I just pick a spot that is popular and go with that?
Yeah, just pick the hard stuff.
Ooh. We've gone over title work recently, so we won't go over that, but that's typically the toughest. So we're gonna go over the next one. And let me get there really fast. We're gonna go over agency. So what can you guys tell me about agency?
Well, when you like meet a client, you have to give them that disclosure form upon
Yes.
first something meeting. I don't know, remember the word.
Substantive.
Yes, that.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. I like it. That's a good start. So we're just going to start running through these questions. Go from there. All right. Number 1, in a real estate transaction, the term fiduciary typically refers to the A, sale of real property, B, people who give someone else legal power to act on their behalf, C, person who has legal power to act on behalf of another, or D, agent's relationship to the principal.
D. I think.
Monique, what do you think?
So I haven't done this unit yet, so I'm gonna guess. I think I probably would go the same, but I'm totally guessing.
Yep, you guys are exactly right. It is D. Okay.
What was kind of your key indicator, Abby, when you heard that question? Was it like the principal thing? Was it relationships?
I just remember the fiduciary obligations and like the old car, like that's what the agent has to do for the client. So I just remember it's more like a relationship thing. And I guess the other answers sounded more technical, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know.
That's good. That's perfect.
That's helpful. Yeah, that's super.
Abby, do you remember what old car is?
Man, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting, and there's an O and an R. So the last one's like real something, right?
I want to give you the actual terms. One moment. Have you, Monique, you may have, Abby, have you seen the actual agency form that we have to have people sign?
Yes.
Okay. So.
I never look at it though. I do it, but I haven't looked closely.
Oh, good for you in that. I cheat. I look at it. Because we get to have it right in front of us. But come here. Obedience and reasonable care.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Reasonable care.
Yep. Do you guys have any questions on these? Loyalty, obedience, disclosure, confidentiality, reasonable care, and accounting? And what those mean for us?
Not really.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, we'll go on to number 2. The relationship between real estate broker and seller is generally what type of agency? Special, general, implied, or universal?
Special.
Yep. Very good. Which statement is true of a real estate broker acting as the agent of the seller? A, the broker is obligated to render loyalty to the seller. B, the broker can disclose confidential information about the seller to a buyer if it increases the likelihood of a sale. C, the broker can agree to a change in price without the seller's approval. Or D, the broker can accept a commission from the buyer without the seller's approval. Sorry. So which statement is true?
Can you say A again for me?
The broker is obligated to render loyalty to the seller. Which statement is true of a real estate broker acting as the agent of the seller?
I'm just gonna guess. A.
Exactly. Yep. Because we can't disclose confidential information, whether it would kill the sale or make the sale or not. We just can't. We can't do a price change without
Right.
their approval.
Right.
And the broker can accept commission from a buyer without the seller's approval.
No. Yeah.
No, that's a big red flag. So the only one left. Perfect. Okay. A real estate broker lists a woman's home for sale for $189,000 and $500. 189,500. Later that same day, a man comes to the broker's office and asks for a general information about homes for sale in the $130,000 to $140,000 range, but refuses representation by the broker's company at this time. Based on these facts, which statement is true? Both the woman and the man are the broker's customers. The woman is the broker's client. The man is the customer. The broker owes fiduciary duties to both the woman and the man. If a man later asks for buyer representation by the broker's firm, he cannot have it because of the firm's earlier agreement with the woman.
I would say that the woman is the client and the guy is the customer.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Just
That's it. Yep.
but can he come back? The broker can be that person's broker though if he comes back, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why he couldn't. That the broker can't. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, next one. You guys are killing it on this one. So we're gonna fly through these. In a dual agency situation, the broker may represent both the seller and the buyer in the same transaction if what? I'm not even gonna give you options.
If it is approved by the seller/buyer. I don't know.
There's one key part.
Oh, well,
That's true. If it's
written, consented, signed.
in writing. But yes, it has to be signed then too.
Yes, okay.
But that's it. That is very key to know, because you will enter into situations like that more often than you know, where you're gonna have to go, stop. I need you to give me permission in writing. Okay, cool.
Isn't it also on an agreement that they have to sign, like an actual contract they sign? Dual agency?
Yes, the
Or is
thing
that
is that they
different?
could sign. No, it's the same thing.
Okay.
What they would do is they would sign the dual agency agreement, and let's say they change their mind. Never mind, I don't want dual agency. Or they said no to it initially, but they fell in love with the house that they saw online and it happens to be yours. Then they have to change that. and give written consent.
Okay, so it's just always written consent, like just note to
Always.
self. Okay.
Yep. Yep, unless it's in writing, it's not true. We get to be a little extra cynical. Which event will terminate an agency in a broker-seller relationship? A, the broker discovers that the market value of the property is such that an adequate commission will not be earned. B, the owner declares personal bankruptcy. C, the owner abandons the property. Or D, the broker appoints other brokers to help sell the property. Which event will terminate an agency in a broker-seller relationship?
I don't know. I thought it was any of the last three, so I'm stumped.
Okay. If the owner abandons the property, but doesn't cancel the contract or anything, and is still in communication with the
Oh,
listing agent,
mhm,
they still own it.
right.
They're just not doing anything with the property. It's not great, but we can work with that. The broker appoints other brokers to help sell the property.
To help wouldn't really terminate it, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
You're just hiring other people. When I hire my showing assistant, I have assigned or hired help.
Oh, okay.
So that's okay. It's weird phrasing that they use, but that's okay. So it's actually B.
Bankruptcy.
Yep. When the owner declares personal bankruptcy.
Okay.
Yep. So just make sure that when you get to that point where you're like, I'm pretty sure it's one of these, stop and elaborate on each of the answers and see if you can make that answer true.
Mhm.
Good job. Okay. Designated agency is most likely to occur when A, there is a client buyer and a customer seller. B, the seller and the buyer are represented by different companies. C, both the buyer and seller are customers. D, the buyer and the seller are represented by the same company.
I don't recall the term designated agency or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. I'm gonna go to that page really fast and we'll talk about it. It's not one that is used very often.
Okay.
So don't, oh, excuse me. Designated agency, also called assigned or appointed agency, is available in some states to accommodate an in-house sale in which two sales associates of the same broker are involved.
Like a dual agency?
Very similar. There,
Oh,
you actually are not signed with them. Like,
okay.
so yeah. It goes on to state that a designated agent or designated representative is the only sales associate in the company who has the fiduciary duty towards the principal. So it's just one person. So all three of us are agents in the same office. I'm the designated agent. Only I owe them fiduciary duties. You guys don't. So if you, Monique, let's say you found something out about them that they are, they're going to be moving because they're relocated and they have to sell as soon as possible, no matter what price we get. We're taking the first offer. You can tell your clients that. I can't disclose that.
Okay.
Yep. Even though you and I are in the same brokerage, and usually that would mean that even if you did find that out, you can't disclose that.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
A little bit.
A little bit?
It's a little confusing. I
Yeah.
mean, because you're so it's your client technically, right?
Correct.
But I know your client.
Yep.
So I have an off like kind of conversation on the side
For whatever reason. Yep.
for whatever reason, like we're friends or whatever.
Yep.
Buds. I cannot, like, I can share confidential information, but you cannot share that with them. So it's
Correct.
kind of a way to get around the little, I mean, that's kind of tricky. I mean, I don't think I would do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if it would harm the sale or you or whatever, the broker. Do you know what I mean? But you can do
Yeah.
that. So this is the question is basically saying that you can do that.
Yeah,
What is-
it's
okay.
weird. But so what would happen is that both parties would be customers of mine, not clients of the
Oh.
broker.
Okay.
They're my clients, but they're the broker's customers. It's super weird. Minnesota does not have it.
Okay.
So you just need to have a very, very surface level understanding of what it kind of is in case you get tested on it.
Okay. Will you say that whole question again?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe. Oh, here we go. Designated agency is most likely to occur when both the buyer and the seller are customers.
Is it that?
Yep, that's the, oh, let me make sure. Now I'm second guessing myself. No, when the buyer and seller are represented by the same company. Sorry, I read the wrong one.
Oh,
Sorry, yep. When the designated agency is most likely to occur when the buyer and the seller are represented by the same company.
okay. I'm gonna
Sorry.
think on that.
It is very, very, very similar to dual agency.
Mhm.
In Minnesota, we have dual agency as a kind of an umbrella.
Okay.
This just takes it one step further.
Gotcha.
What I don't hear in that is like their customers or their clients. I just hear the buyer and seller are represented by the same company, like representatives. So I feel like so for me, when I start to answer questions, I'm like, okay, what's my keywords? Because
Yeah.
it's hard for me to process all these different terminologies and dual agency, like you said, Abby, designated agency. I'm glad you read that portion of it saying assigned or appointed, like it's the same thing. There's just all these different words for the same thing.
Yes. And the reason why I shouldn't say, I suspect the reason why why the national has different verbiages for the same thing is because the different states started first and then they combined everything. Now, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Because I'm curious. We're going to look this up. Okay. This seems not so. Refers to a situation where the buyer and seller each have their own agent, but both of those agents work for the same. Okay. This helps a little bit. Yeah. So Minnesota, dual agency refers to I represent the buyer, Monique represents the seller. We both work for KWPR. That's in Minnesota. Nationally, that situation where Monique represents one, I represent the other, would be designated agency.
So it's the same thing, just different words?
Correct. They're saying that the difference nationally is that dual agency is me representing the buyer and me representing the seller.
Oh,
And then nationally designated agency is we each have our own agent
mhm,
under the same company.
right.
Minnesota combines them.
Got it.
Stupid is what it is. We're just gonna go ahead and say it.
Just to confuse us.
Uh,
Mhm.
Why not? Why not? Okay. I will tell you, I did not have a question on that on my test. And I've never had to use it. So, again, learn it for surface level and then move on. Okay. We're going to do 2 more and then we're going to move on. A real estate broker hired by an owner to sell a parcel of real estate must comply with A, the common law of agency in the state in which the property owner lives. B, a prospective buyer's instructions. C, the concept of a caveat emptor. D, all lawful instructions of the owner.
Is it A?
So let's say I hired you guys. I'm not an agent. I just hired you to sell my land. I live in Florida, but my land is in Minnesota. A states that the common law of the state in which I live. So you would have to follow if A is correct, then you would have to follow the real estate laws of Florida, not
Oh.
Minnesota.
Okay,
So not A.
okay.
It's definitely not B. And I don't know what the heck C is.
Yeah, me neither.
So it's probably D then, huh? All lawful instructions of the owner.
Okay,
You must do what the owner says, your client, as long as it has to do with real estate and is lawful. I want you to sell my little 3/4, my little quarter acre lot for $1 million. Well, nobody's gonna buy it for $1 million. Yeah, but that's what I want you to list it as. Okay.
wait, can you tell me another example of like that real life scenario of a subdivided land? Like, I don't really understand the concept. So someone in a different state is asking you to sell something in Florida? Like, I don't get that.
Oh, I was just giving an example of what that answer
Oh, okay.
was saying. That's all. But that does happen, right? I have a client right now. He lives in California. He has a secondary home here. He's selling it. He doesn't want it anymore.
Oh, so it's if you're an agent in Minnesota
Mhm.
and someone that lives somewhere else wants you to sell something they own in Minnesota?
Yep.
Oh.
But I then sell it according to Minnesota law, not
Right.
California law.
Okay,
Yep.
I was a little confused on that, but that makes more sense.
Yep. I was just elaborating because the answer was a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Yep, that was all. Perfect. Good questions.
Mhm.
Okay, number 9. Which of the following is not a valid reason to terminate an agency relationship? The agent found a home for a buyer to purchase and the sale closed. B, the property was condemned. C, the buyer wanted to work with a new agent, but the terms of agency had not yet expired, and the current agent did not agree to terminate. D, the buyer went bankrupt. So which of the following is not a valid reason to terminate an agency relationship?
A.
Term though.
I'm guessing. I don't
A?
know. Yeah.
What do you think, Abby?
I don't think it's A, but
Okay.
I can't remember the other ones. I think bankrupt is valid. I think A is
More
valid.
important.
And then what
Okay.
were the other two?
Condemned, bankrupt, and the buyer wanted to work with a new agent, but the terms of agency had not yet expired. And the current agent did not agree to terminate.
Okay, I feel like that's maybe not right.
Okay.
Is it that one? I don't know.
It is C. So let's walk through the answers. The agent found a home for a buyer to purchase and the sale closed. So it's closed. There's no agency left. There's no agreement. We're done. So it doesn't even, there's nothing to void.
Tricky. I got
Yep.
you.
B, the property was condemned. Well, condemned, we can still sell the condemned property.
What does that mean, condemned? Like,
Means that it's not, so you can't live there.
oh, okay.
It's too crappy.
Gotcha.
Which, if it's gotten to that point, holy crap. maybe you as an agent should look at canceling.
Right.
But, and then D, the buyer went bankrupt. Well, if the buyer went bankrupt, we learned earlier that, where was it? Where was this question?
Yeah, yep. That
Yep.
terminate relationship because it's personal bankruptcy.
Right. But we don't know if agency, we don't know if it were the seller or the buyer. And this says the buyer went bankrupt. So if we're the seller, it doesn't matter to,
Right.
so to terminate agency because of bankruptcy is no. Or excuse me, yeah. So which of the following is not a valid reason to terminate an agency? Answer is C. The buyer wanted to work with a new agent. So let's say I'm the agent, my client wants to go work with somebody else, but the terms of agency had not yet expired. So we have a contract until June 1st. Well, it's January. We still have 6 months left. 5, whatever. And the current agent, I don't agree to terminate. So that is key there, is that both parties must agree to terminate a relationship.
Okay.
Tricky. Okay. Do you guys have other questions on agency and things like that?
No.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna go through. You guys tell me which unit we want to look at, because I want to do something that either interests you or you guys need some help on. So I'm just gonna read off the chapters really fast. Fair housing. Do you guys have a handle on that one?
I feel like that one's good.
Okay. Good to go over, or you're good on that one?
I'm good on that one.
Okay, sounds good. Interests in real estate, like estates and land encumbrances, governmental powers.
That one's kind of tricky,
Okay, let's do that one.
but Monique, do what you want to.
No, I'm game. Let's do that one.
Okay. I just remember that one, there was like 7 terms that start with E,
Mhm.
and I was getting so frustrated. I wrote them all down and tried to memorize them just because I don't know. There's a lot of confusion in that one.
There is. So let's go over the key points before we jump into the test. How's that?
Can you tell me which unit that was that you got that one? Because I don't know if I've done that one.
This one, so Kaplan, the edition that I have is unit 4, interests in real estate. Page 62, if you have the same book.
Oh,
It's this one. Sorry, I have pens marking stuff. Okay. So we're gonna go over this. A freehold state. What's a freehold estate?
You know, I should know, but I forgot.
That's okay. It lasts for an indeterminable length of time. That is the most common.
Yes.
That is typically what we deal with when we are buying and selling homes.
Okay.
Here you go. You own it
Yeah.
for an indeterminable length of time until
Yeah,
you sell it.
Yeah, I started to think about it as freehold, free, and then forever.
Yep, exactly. Good. Fee simple. What is that?
Can you say it again? Sorry.
Yeah. Fee simple. Fee simple. It's the highest estate recognized by law. It's just kind of in general estate.
So how is that different than the freehold estate?
Freehold, fee simple has other ones underneath it. For instance, fee simple defeasible.
Okay.
Freehold is just, here you go, and we're done. Where fee simple defeasible is an estate that is qualified because it is subject to the occurrence or non-occurrence of a special specified event. And then a life estate is based on the lifetime of a tenant or someone else.
Sorry, I was looking forward to my book.
Nope, that's perfect.
So, yeah, I was too. So I actually, it's on 54 for my Kaplan book that I have.
Oh,
the
okay.
19th edition. So it has life estate on there and then Poratre and
Good.
the fee simple. So I was like, oh, I know I just did this not too long ago and I'm not recalling it. So
Oh, actually, you know what? This is kind of cool. I was just looking it up in my book to get more stuff, but there's a little chart there.
yeah, I found that too. Yeah. So I don't know, Abby, what book you have, but I have the Kaplan and it's on page 52 for it.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to
Cool.
take a picture, Abby?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hold it as steady as I can.
All right, got it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. That'll help. Okay. All right. Monique, I love that you're taking Kaplan. That helps me out. It just, I like Kaplan better than the other ones because the other ones do weird things. But then I can see how the books have different because I don't know what edition I have. I should look real fast. But I know that stuff has changed. Mine says 19th edition update on the front cover.
Yes, that was mine.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Okay. An encumbrance is a claim, charge, or liability that attaches to real estate. Can you give me an example of an encumbrance?
Like a lien?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. What about an easement? What's the difference between an easement and an encumbrance?
The easement has to do with like physical land. Encumbrance
ding.
has to do with like taxes and like money.
Yep. So encumbrances would be like a cloud on a title, a lien, some
Right.
regulation on the property, where an easement is a fence that is over on your property instead of your neighbor's.
Right.
Yep, perfect. Okay, good. Okay. Easement in gross. What is that?
Mhm.
I cheated. It is, I'm just reading it here.
Good.
An individual or company interest in or right to use someone else's land.
Yep. So what's the difference between easement and gross, easement by necessity, and an easement by prescription? What are the differences there?
Well, it says the necessity is granted by the courts to a private owner. And if there's no other like option. So that makes sense because
Right.
it's necessity.
Yep, necessity, you need it. You
Okay.
must have that to access your property.
Yes.
Perfect. Yep. What about prescription?
Those are the two that I kind of got mixed up in my head because I feel like, oh, so the prescription is for a certain period of time defined by the state or law.
No, I just said.
I'm trying to remember what is that? Like, I don't understand it. So I don't
Yeah.
understand the
Can you
difference between
explain the-
necessity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me
So
either.
easement by necessity. My house, okay, there's a peninsula, let's say. I own the very, very tip of the peninsula. My neighbor owns the next chunk. Well, sure, I could take a boat around to get to my property and not go on his, but it's winter time and I don't have a boat and the ice isn't too thick. So I get an easement by necessity, meaning that the courts have granted me permission to drive on my neighbor's property. So I get a driveway through his land. Now, they might dictate where. Maybe my neighbor says, yeah, sure, right over here. But they say you get to drive just on here when you need to get to and from your property. Okay. Easement by prescription is, it would be, let's take that scenario. Let's say a similar scenario. I own a piece of property. Well, just during the flooding months, I can't get to my house because the driveway is underwater. So for, I go every year and say, hey, I need my easement on my neighbor's land. And they say, okay, for the next 2 months, you can drive on your neighbor's land. And then after 2 months, it's done. So prescription, like your prescription that you get at the doctor, it's for a set time period.
Well, that's a good way to remember that.
You only take your Z-Pack for 2 weeks. You only take your, whatever. There you so, right. I'm not going to go through and list prescriptions, but there you go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
My workbook doesn't identify those differences at all. I just realized. So that's helpful.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Abby, if you ever come up to our office, or if I'm ever down in Red Wing, I'll bring my workbook and you can just take pictures and look through it and whatever.
I thought we had the same one.
Kaplan?
Yeah, I'll show you. It's this one.
I'm in this one right now.
Yeah, I have that workbook,
that
Abby.
different?
Too.
Yep. So this one is the
Oh.
textbook, the big giant textbook.
I see.
Yep.
Okay, mine's just a little one.
I have that one too. Somewhere. I do have that one.
Okay.
But yeah, this textbook is amazing.
It's very detailed. It's a lot of reading. I mean, it's hours of reading. Like I'm like, oh, geez,
That's
I'm
probably
trying-
why I didn't open it yet. It's like, this is taking too long. Maybe I should though. Okay.
It helps. There are times where I still come running home and I'm like, what? Wait, hold on. What is this? I gotta, oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll crack
Yeah.
it open.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see. Let's jump over to encroachment. What's the difference between an encroachment and an easement?
An encroachment, you don't have like the approval, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had a situation where this couple purchased a home and their deck happened to be an encroachment on the backyard of somebody else, like, you know, the line, right? But the
Oh, no.
city, ironically, they were like, well, it's really not that big of a deal. But then we had to go circles like, oh my gosh, do we have to have the seller, because we're the buyer, right? Do we have to tell
Oh,
the seller
no.
they need to tear down the deck before we bought the house? Like, it was a mess.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's the only reason why I was like, I remember this.
This one I know. Oh
Real life
gosh.
experience.
Yikes. Yikes. Okay. Let's talk government powers. What's the acronym?
Is it like Pete? Or is that
That's exactly what
Yeah,
it
good
is.
Oh, okay. There's so many dang acronyms. I was just guessing.
Yep. Oh, I can't remember them all. The only one I actually remember is old car because I
Yeah.
use it every day.
That's a good
That's
one.
it. Okay, so Pete, what is Pete?
Police power?
Yep.
Okay. Eminent domain.
Yep.
And then I have to think.
Something to do with money
Hmm.
for T.
Oh, taxation.
Uh-huh. And what's the last one?
Escheat.
There we go. Okay, so can you give me a quick synopsis of what those are?
The escheat is when the government takes your property, basically. Nope.
Elaborate some more. You might be right. I don't want to say you're wrong yet, but you're bordering.
The lady on our like the training, online training was like, they cheated us out of the
Yes.
property.
That's how I remember it.
Uh-huh.
And that's all I remember.
So they basically like if it's uninhabited, right? Like let's say somebody passes away and there's no heirs, there's nobody to give the land to, there's nobody to pass it down to. The government can just seize it, right, for themselves. And basically whoever the heirs are that come forward are cheated out of the land because there's just nobody assigned to it or whatever or given it to.
Correct. Yep. So the government cheats the heirs.
Yeah.
Because the heirs
Yep.
didn't come forward.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because technically they're supposed to like do an announcement, right? Like either in the paper or something, try to say, hey, blah, blah,
Okay.
blah, this land is up for
Yep.
grabs, come get it. And you have a certain amount of time to come get it and claim it. And they don't come forward, then too bad, so sad.
Exactly. Speaking of that, is there a set amount of time that the government has to try and find an heir?
I thought there was, but I don't remember.
Once it goes through probate. I mean, they do have to post it, but if they go through everything and they're done with everything else, and the last thing is the thing, and they've posted it, it's theirs. I think what they do is in some states there is a specific set time. And I think Minnesota does have one. I just don't remember what that is, but nationally there is no set time length.
Okay.
Okay. What about taxation? What is taxation?
Like property taxes
Hmm?
and assessments.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's it. Yep, exactly. What is eminent domain? This is kind of what you were saying before, Abby.
Well, the government takes the land.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, feel free to elaborate for me.
No, that's okay. No, you're doing a great job. So basically the government comes through. The process, you'll need to know this, is called condemnation.
Mhm.
So they condemn the property. They go through that whole thing, take the property from you, and then use it either essentially for whatever they need.
Okay.
Yep. And then police power.
Like zoning. Right.
Kind of like
Yes.
a law, like protection, like, isn't it like the protection of people too, like that
Mhm.
area as well? And then can you do it one more time? So we have police power.
Yep.
We have, what's the next one? Eminent domain. And eminent domain is when they, can you say it one more time? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, when they go through condemnation
Condemnation, okay.
to take your property and use it for their use.
So they can use it for public use. So let's say so for example, my grandma had a house, right?
Yep.
The government came in and they said, we actually want to use this land for a park.
Yep.
Now, because it's next to a school, blah, blah, blah. And this house is in the way. So they didn't condemn the house. I can't remember. It was like they had a choice. Either they condemn it or they sell it.
Yep. And that's what they do.
Okay.
That is exactly what they do. So they will either offer you a sum of like, hey, we want to buy your property for this much money. No, thank you. Now, in Bloomington right now, there's a chunk right next to 35W. There's 2 houses left in random spots. As these people get older and sell their property, Bloomington has said you can't sell it to the public. We're buying it when you're ready to move.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So they're buying it. They're not using condemnation. They're not forcing them out, but they're saying, we will give you this much money when you go to sell it. Okay, great. And right now they're going to do that in this whole strip. Now, in your grandma's case, what they would do, some money. No, I don't want money. I'm not moving, whatever.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, great. We're going to take it anyways. And so they go through the whole condemnation process. We can talk about that in a second if you want. And essentially kick her out of her house and take it.
And then they get mean.
Yeah, it's not nice. It was not cool. They ended up
No.
giving it up and having it sold, but it was not a fun process for them to go through because they were like, we've been here forever and ever and ever.
That's
I'm
awful.
not ready to move. Yeah. Then yeah, it was kind of sad. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So it could be for public or economical use as well. So if they wanted to let's say take the front chunk of your yard to put in a sidewalk and a bus stop, they could do that.
So if they did that, technically in some way, is there some sort of special assessment on there?
It depends.
Right.
If it's technically, yes, there would be an assessment for the sidewalk. Some cities, if the city has decided that they are going to put the sidewalk in, a lot of times the city will pay for it. if the town has decided that they want the sidewalks, then they get assessed. Now, some cities are just jerks and go, we're deciding to put sidewalks and new curbs in, and you have to pay for it. Gee, thanks.
Yeah, like the homeowners, whatever, have to pay
Yep.
like taxes, extra taxes. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we had that happen. Good times.
That is one thing. So that's one thing that I always look at when I'm looking at homes in the suburbs with my clients, is if there's sidewalks and curbs already on the front of the property, especially depending on how close they are in taxes and their pre-approval and everything. If we're kind of right on the edge of whether they can afford it or not, I look and go, you know what? You don't have a curb and you don't have a sidewalk. They might come in tomorrow and say, hey, we're adding an assessment of $10,000 for the sidewalks. You have to pay that regardless. And they go, oh, never mind. Or, oh, nice, they already have sidewalks. You won't have to pay to add those. So.
Oh, I just never even thought of that.
Like if I'm talking like if we're like hair away from being out of, most of the time it doesn't matter.
Out of their budget or something like that. But that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I guess I just
Yeah.
Like you don't think it'll ever happen, but it does. So yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, is that there's other things that could be assessed for the property, right? A new park, new roads. You'd be shocked, they decide that they need to repave and that city can't afford it. Instead of raising taxes, because they can only raise taxes so much year over year, they just do an assessment. Little thing, I shouldn't say little things. Things like that happen all the time, all over the place.
So piggybacking on that, when you do the purchase contracts and you're doing all that stuff, the title company checks that information, right? All those assessment and liens. So you have the foreknowledge, but you don't necessarily have to check those assessments, or is it a good idea for you to also check them and have a conversation with the buyer? Shane's saying yes to me.
Yeah, double check everything yourself. Always. So Randy at Minnesota Title is great. The title company should catch everything. Now, if you're on the buy side, it's really hard for you to check, because sometimes the city or the county won't talk to you about stuff. Well, no, we can't get that information. Well,
okay.
Now, most of the time they do, because they understand what's actually happening. You can call the county. The seller should know and needs to disclose that. As a seller's agent.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, usually it's in the disclosure, but then if it's in the alternative, like a seller's alternative disclosure, I don't see that in there, right?
Correct, because I'll show you something tricky. Oh, wait, I have to actually share my screen with you guys. I just like flipped screens and was like, they're catching on. No, wait, hold on. Bear with me. Here we go. So right here, here's the MLS, right? Yay. And down here, you've got beds, baths, whatever. Property ID, the tax year, tax amount, this is supposed to be assessment balance. Why is it doing it? This is the assessment balance right here. So typically people don't put 0, they just skip it. So this is 0. And then taxes with assessment, that tells us, let's say there was $1,000 assessment balances. Let's say there was $1,000 in there. The difference, and they probably got on some kind of payment plan with the county, meaning they've negotiated that. Let's say it's $10 a month. That's a lot of months, but we're going with it. So then the taxes with assessments, instead of being $34.42, would be $34.52. So that way we know, okay, so taxes are $34.52, $10, there's $1,000 left. That's 100 months of $10 payments. Nah, I don't want to do that. Or you can wrap it into your mortgage, just pay it off. It gives the buyer a little leverage in that way. But that is where, as a buyer's agent, you would know what the tax situation is on the property. Does that make sense?
Thing. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally does.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so it is 7:30. What other questions do you guys have? These are great questions.
I don't have any right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I just don't know what I don't know yet. So this is really good.
I feel like that too. Still.
I just like can't remember things. So I just need to keep trying to remember things.
The quizzes in the back of this book
Oh
are
yeah.
great. All of the unit quizzes, all of the little
Mhm.
multiple choices. Your licensure tests are multiple choice. And so I would say just keep practicing multiple choice questions, all of them, all day, every day.
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah, I've been doing that too. Okay.
Good.
Well, congratulations, Abby, on taking that first test.
I was so nervous for some reason.
Oh, I'm just nervous thinking about it. Yeah.
I just-
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a nervous test taker. It's like my brain wipes clean of all knowledge.
I
and
am
then,
too.
You know, so I gotta
Mhm.
get better at that. But thank you.
Yeah.
So one thing you guys can do if you are nervous test takers, give yourself tests. Not just do it yourself, but like print it out, go somewhere that you're not comfortable, not your house, but like go to the library or something, set a 1-hour timer and say you have to get all of these done. Give yourself that test anxiety. That way you get used to it. Because
idea.
that test anxiety is what makes us forget everything.
Yeah, I totally have that. I've had that forever, never, never, never.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Especially if they word it funky. And I'm like, oh, just like even one of the questions you asked us, I'm like, oh, well, I missed that part. If
I don't
I
even know what's going on. Yeah.
yeah.
That's the other part is don't be afraid to write on the test. And yes, the licensure test will be on a computer. If you have to,
Oh, I didn't know that.
write things down. Write down A, B, and C you get a piece of paper and a pencil,
Okay.
write down A, B, C, D. And as you go through them slowly and go, okay, it's not B for sure. And cross off B. And
Wait,
don't second guess yourself. Once you've crossed it out, it's gone. It's not an option anymore.
Okay. Do you get calculators?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to be able to do math in your head, which is great.
Yes, yes.
Because
yes,
most
yes.
real estate agents can't do math, which is why we have a math night.
Yay.
So anyways, there you go. Okay. You guys,
Awesome.
great job tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much. as
You are
always.
welcome. As always, if you guys have questions, text, message, you name it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, guys. Have a good night.
Okay, bye.
Bye.